In the previous lecture, I derived the expression in case of Compton scattering for the probability of an initial photon with momentum k I going to a final photon with momentum k f. And now, to convert that probability to a cross section, we have to sum over all the degrees of freedom which are not actually observed in the experiment. So, we have to integrate over the electron degrees of freedom and see what structure comes out, and then evaluate the relevant gamma matrix traces, which is a significant amount of algebra in this particular case, but it can be carried out using several tricks. So, the expression for the probability of scattering involved various delta functions and the values of the flux, which we have to now calculate. The flux actually is easy to see in this particular example, because for photons scattering from stationary electrons, the flux is nothing but the speed of the photon, which is c or 1 in the units which we are working on. So, the flux part does not give any more complications, and when expressions which I have obtained, I have already cancelled off all factors of V, which is the volume for box normalization. I have not bothered to write them down because they already cancel out, as they should in any physical observable quantity. So, we just have to tackle this particular delta functions. So, what we do is, well, integrating out all unobserved electron degrees of freedom, we get rid of the space part of the delta functions rather easily by removing d cube p f integrals, and then the energy part will remain as a delta function, but that has to be removed by integrating over d cube k f, or rather the radial part of the d cube k f integral. The angular part survives, and that converts this cross section to a differential cross section in terms of scattering angle. So, let me just write the first step, which is just integrating over the electron degrees of freedom. So, it becomes d sigma f I, overall factors of m square I can put in the numerator, all the various 2 pi's and 2 etcetera simplified to 16 pi square. The energy and momentum becomes m times omega I, and for the final state it is E f omega f. So, these are the normalization factor, then there is a delta function of the energy, which remains from the 4-dimensional delta function, and then the integration over k f can be separated into radial and angular part. All the 2 pi cubes etcetera have been already taken care of, and finally, there is the matrix element square. So, this is a expression and which we now have to integrate over the radial part of k f, and in doing that we need to take into account that in the delta function not only omega f is equal to k f, which is one dependence, but E f also depends on k f due to the energy momentum conservation. So, we need to calculate we must find the derivative of dEf with respect to AF, but this derivative must be calculated using only the imposed condition so far, which is the conservation of momentum, and only after we have integrated over the energy delta function you can put the energy conservation back into the equation. So, now let us just do that. So, what is this quantity? It can be written as derivative of this huge square root coming from the momentum conservation and then one can trivially expand this and write out the full expression. You can expand it. So, let us see, it is a square root of k f square minus plus k I square minus 2 k f k I cos theta, which is the dot product of k f and k I, and plus m square d k f. And so, now the derivative is calculated in a rather straightforward manner. The square root goes 1 power less. So, it becomes in the denominator and that value is nothing but E f. So, taking care of all the factors of half etcetera, we have an E f in the denominator, and the derivative of the numerator inside the square root now gives k f minus k I cos theta. So, this is a simple enough expression, but we have to now simplify it more because we do not know cos theta right away. So, we can rewrite this object as kf minus ki plus ki into 1 minus cosine theta divided by EF. And now, since the derivative is already calculated, we can use the various tricks of energy conservation and simplify this expression further. So, what does energy conservation tell you? And writing in the 4 vector notation, it can be expressed in various different ways, but one way of writing the conservation law is P f minus P I, which is the momentum gained by electron must be the momentum lost by the photon. And so, this identity has to hold, and what this implies now is well, we work it out explicitly. P f square is m squares, P I square is also m square. So, there is 2 m square. P f dotted with P I, since P I is just the rest mass energy, is 2 m E f. Right hand side gives similar expression, but k square is 0. So, it is just minus 2 k I dotted with k f, and writing explicitly in terms of energy and momentum part, the dot product of energy just gives k I k f in terms of magnitude, and the dot product of space will just give the same thing, but with an angle in between. So, that is the result, and one can re-express this in several different ways. One way of writing it is write everything in terms of the photon variables. So, the right hand side is rather simple, even the 2 can be removed. So, leave it out. And on the left hand side you have m as a common factor, and then E f minus m, but E f minus m is the same as k I minus k f by energy conservation of just the 0th component. And so, this is an identity which follows and which now can be used to simplify the expression for the derivative which we wanted. And so, let us see, there are several other consequences as well. So, let us see what all things is imply. One thing is k I has to be greater than k f. Then there is a second formula which is often related in the form which Compton wrote down by dividing this equation throughout by k I k f. And this is Compton's formula for change in photon wavelength. And the third thing which we need is to calculate this d E f by d k f, for which we must substitute all these cosine thetas and get rid of various unwanted quantities. So, let us just do that. So, d E f kf my ki will just let it write down. So, it is plus ki into 1 minus cosine theta is this object divided by kf okay. And this well can be simplified. You need a factor of 1. So, this is m minus E f. I have to subtract out basically 1 which I do not want, plus m by k f and so this is m by E f is a common factor here, then the various terms are 1 plus 1 by k f k I minus k f, that is one part, and then there is minus 1. So, the net result is, well, this k f numerator denominator also cancels with the 1 on the other side, and so the total result at the end of this whole jugglery is m k I by E f k f minus 1. And this is in a form which can be now used to integrate over the delta functions of energy, which was written earlier, and that delta function basically produces the factor of 1 plus d k f by d f in the denominator, and that is where the whole simplification occurs. So, integration over d k f gives 1 divided by magnitude of 1 plus del E f and finally, once you put in all these various factors together, many things simplify. Is 1 over 16 pi square, which is fine. Then this E f k f parts essentially all cancels out, m also will cancels out to some degree, and the net result is with omega f and k f being equal, etc. in a rather simple looking form, where the differential cross section is just proportional to k f by k I whole square multiplied by the matrix element. And now our job is to calculate this matrix element, and we will use the same tricks as we used in the case of Coulomb scattering. They have to be written in terms of u bar and u, and then rewrite the u bar u factors by cyclic arrangement into the form where they become all traces, and that expression. So, depends on the initial and final states, but if we use the same ideas that the electrons are unpolarized, then the only projection operators which appear are the Pichless plus m for the electrons after summing over the spin states. So, the result looks like d sigma by d omega. We had written out T f I earlier, so I am just going to count those things explicitly. This extra factor of half comes in because we are averaging over the initial spin, but summing over the final spin. So, there is a half in there, and now there is a big trace, and where all the various projectors appear. And here is the explicit expression where there were two terms in the scattering corresponding to crossing symmetry of the two diagrams. Then another projector, and then the final factor which has the capital gamma bar, which means all these things written in an opposite order as far as all the slash combinations are concerned. So, this is a expression which requires now all the tricks of the gamma matrix algebra, calculations of traces which we had summarized before, and there are, so the trace involves products of up to 8 gamma matrices. You must simplify those products to numbers. So, it can be done in a rather brute force, but one can work out the various terms individually. In particular, there are 4 terms which arises from this two diagrams multiplied by its conjugate combination, and there is a certain symmetry, the crossing symmetry between these objects, and it helps to look at these four terms one by one. It simplifies the calculation somewhat, and I will give a brief derivation of what happens, and the individual steps can be filled in a rather straightforward manner. So, look at for the four terms individually. And what helps is using all the various combinations which kind of vanish. So, what we will use is the generic trick that use A slash B slash by anti-commuting one through the other to give 2 A dot B minus B slash A slash. So, these various factors can be commuted together and to take them into a form where the last combination kind of vanishes. Extensively, and in particular many dot products vanish. Obviously, some of them are epsilon dot k for a photon, which is always 0. The photon is a transverse polarized object. Then k slash is equal to k square is also 0 for the photons, because they are on shell. On top of that, the initial momentum is such that it is a rest electron state. So, the transverse photon, either of them, initial or the final, also happens to be 0, and all those objects have to be used in this commuting these operators, where this A dot B will land up to be some of these combinations, and they can be immediately eliminated, and there is no simple combination to involve P f. So, P f is written at some stage or the other in terms of P I, K I and K f, and that is true by conservation law of the 4 momentum. So, then the dot products of P I, K I and K f with the other objects have simpler forms. So, P f does not have a simple form, we will eliminate them then this particular problem. So, let us look at the first term. It has a form of trace P f plus m slash, then this various factors of epsilons, then the second, and then the second factor, and that closes the trace. So, now we want to simplify this object. First we see that the mass term has this k slash on either side, mass is just a number and k slash square is 0. So, the mass part does not contribute. So, this pi slash plus m is just equivalent to only pi slash, and once that mass is gone, the other mass also disappears, because that now corresponds to a product of 7 gamma matrices, which happens to be 0. The numbers have to be even to give a non-zero trace. So, the first object is just to get rid of all the mass to write this as a simpler form. Where we have used that mass terms vanish because k I square is 0. So, now we have a explicit product of 8 matrices. Again, the thing to do is use this k slash equal to k square equal to 0 to anti-commute through one of them to get the result in the correct form, and that requires anti-commuting k through p, which gives only the dot product between the two. So, we can rewrite this object is a 2 k I dotted with p I, and then the trace of p f slash epsilon f slash epsilon I slash. This has gone through already, and then there are whatever is remaining 1 k I slash is still there, epsilon I slash epsilon f slash. So, now we have a product of 6 gamma matrices. Again, we can reduce it further by noting that this epsilon and k together they have a 0 dot product. So, we can write it in the opposite order. So, it becomes minus k I slash epsilon I slash, but then there are 2 epsilon I slash together. So, that also gives an identity which I should have mentioned earlier, that epsilon dotted with epsilon is equal to minus 1, that also can be used. So, one anti-commutation and the minus 1 2 epsilon I slash disappear, and the result then is now k I dotted with p I trace p f slash epsilon f slash k I slash epsilon f slash. So, now we are down to 4 gamma matrices, and now this can be just explicitly written down in terms of the cyclic rules which we have used. So, the result is a 4 comes from the trace, and then there are various combinations which appear in this product. So, the first thing is the dot product of epsilon with k. So, let us just write down it is a p f dotted with epsilon f, and then the other two produce their own dot product, that is k I dotted with epsilon f. So, this is one term. The same term occurs twice, because when the P f is dotted with the last one, it gives the same result. So, this object has actually an overall factor of 2, and then there is a dot product of P with k and the epsilon with epsilon, and there is a minus sign with P f dot with k I, and then epsilon dot epsilon is equal to minus 1. So, that can be just included in a straightforward fashion, and then this is a final form which can be written maybe in a little bit different form, again using a energy conservation. We will get rid of all the factors of P f. So, k I dotted with P I is outside, and then when you substitute P f as m plus P I plus k I minus k f, in both these places things simplify, because epsilon f dotted with k f is already 0, can't change much about that. K I dot E f is appearing here. So, it gives 2 times the contribution. So, 2 times k I dot E f square, and then there is a third term which is P I dotted with epsilon f, that also happens to be 0, because P I is just the rest mass. So, first term can be rewritten as this. Same trick for the second term here. Again, the energy momentum conservation implies that k I minus P f equals k f minus P I in a rearranged form. Squaring this expression, k square equal to 0 and P square equal to m square are eliminated from the two sides of the equation, giving P f dot k I equal to P I dot k f. This is the final form of this first term, which is useful, all specified in terms of the observable constant. P f is the one which is not observed, and we have to get rid of it from all the expression. So, this is the term. Now, the last term in this product of 4 objects is related to this by crossing symmetry. So, the substitutions in that particular case was epsilon I, k I got interchanged with epsilon f and minus k f, and so the contribution is now easily written down it is 8 times Kf dotted with Pi. There is a negative sign, but we are going to absorb it inside this combination. So, it is minus 2 Kf dot epsilon I square, and here the sign remains plus, and it is Pi dotted with Ki. So, this is a explicit evaluation of two of the terms. The two other cross terms are equal by crossing symmetry. There are the sign changes do not do anything explicitly, and so we only have to evaluate one of them, and each then gives the contribution which can be written as trace P f slash plus m epsilon f epsilon I k I, then P I slash plus m, and down the other object k f slash epsilon f slash epsilon I slash. And here nothing simplifies as easily, because there are no two factors of k I which will square to 0, but we just have to use the other part, which is, well, get rid of the P f and write everything in terms of P I, and that gives the combinations only in terms of and then the remaining part, which happens to be k f minus k I, and k f minus k I is in a good position where thing can be used to simplify together with all the epsilon, but let me just write down that thing first. So, k f minus k I together with epsilon f slash, and here the mass can be dropped because that gives an odd number of gamma matrices with 0 trace. In the other part, the mass still survives. So, this is the first step, and now the point is to get these various objects simplified in some combination or the other. various things can be tried in terms of epsilon and k. For example, this contribution of epsilon I slash k I slash can be written in the opposite order with k I slash epsilon I slash with a negative sign, and then epsilon will have 0 product with p I slash again, etc. And that procedure can be now continued till all the traces basically come down, and I will only write down the final answer. The rest of the stuff is an exercise. So, that result is and these terms still explicitly obey the crossing symmetry. It can be seen by the same interchanges, and one just have to work them out. The important part is that the mass again drops out completely from the calculation, and here it is a kind of consequence that p slash square becomes m square, and then it cancels with the other quadratic term of minus m square for the trace. So, that is the summary, and now I can write down just the final expression. So, we have a much simpler result where the overall constant is alpha square by four m square after taking into account all the factors of 2 m's in the denominator. K f by k I square survives, and the interesting part is that the remaining contribution coming from the trace is much simpler than all the intermediate algebra would have suggested, and it looks as this particular form, and this is a result which can also be written in a slightly different form using the angles explicitly. So, if one simplifies this k f square and k I square, they both well happen to be 0, and the expression can be rewritten in terms of just the last part. So, let me just do that, and this object is k f square plus k I square minus 2 k I k f, which is k f minus k I the whole thing square, and that can be rewritten as cosine theta simplified to sin 4 theta by 2 in terms of the energy momentum relation, which I wrote down. It said k f minus k I was proportional to k f k I times 1 minus cosine theta, and 1 minus cosine theta becomes 2 sin square theta by 2. So, all this jugglery is just playing around with the magnitudes, and that brings the angle explicitly inside it, and then the remaining part of the polarization contribution still survives. So, this particular object was calculated first by Klein and Nishina, and so it is known after them. It is a differential cross section calculated explicitly in terms of the property of the photons. The electron stuff does not appear explicitly anywhere except for just this factor of electron mass. Nothing else is important. The charge, of course, is there in parameterization of the strength of the coupling. And now, various things can be inferred from this particular result. In particular, this object alpha by m is called the classical radius of electron. It is essentially not 1 over m, which will be the Compton wavelength, but a Compton wavelength reduced by a factor of alpha. And here one can look at it that the size of the cross section is basically the characterized by this particular parameter. So, it is just a shadow produced by some object of this particular radius up to the other factors, which are all going to be order 1, and the magnitude of this object is roughly .8 Fermi in magnitude. One get this result explicitly, that this becomes essentially the cross section, in the sense that the first term in this expression can be neglected in various situations. So, in the low energy limit, which means k f and k I are much smaller than the mass, that part can be just thrown out, and in that particular case Kf will approximately become equal to Ki. It becomes a elastic scattering situation, or one can go to the same result of dropping the first term in case of forward scattering. Again, in that case, Kf becomes equal to Ki by energy conservation, because 1 minus cosine theta which appeared over there is 0, and so Kf equal to Ki. So, this scattering becomes elastic, and then one has a simple form which is known as Thomson cross section, and the form for that object is d sigma by d omega is equal to alpha square by m square times epsilon f dot epsilon I whole thing square. So, not only the scattering is elastic, but the polarization also is maintained, in the sense that there is no cross section for change in polarization to an orthogonal direction. And the magnitude of the Thomson cross section is one way of defining the classical radius of electron. It is exactly the size of the shadow created by this scattering in the low energy limit. Next time I will mention some further properties of this cross section in case the polarization effects are also not observed. So, we have to sum over polarizations to derive some related forms of this particular cross section.